in Miami for a Heat game. And I'm going to be honest here. She's sitting... Person sitting beside her at a Heat game is wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey. Oh my God, that's all anyone is talking about. So imagine showing up to a Miami Heat game wearing a Caitlin Clark jersey and you're sitting 2 seats away from it. You're sitting Aja's bag seat away from it.
Look at that setup. A Miami Heat game. 2 courtside seats. Aja Wilson sitting there enjoying the game. And right next to her, separated only by Aja's bag, someone wearing a Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever jersey. The only thing between the reigning WNBA MVP and a Caitlin Clark fan is a purse. You cannot make this up.
Hashtag from anywhere. She's eyeballing in the ZC jersey, Caitlin jersey from anywhere. I know she's mad as hell seeing the Caitlin jersey. I recognize that jersey right next to her from anywhere. Just let out a laugh. Everything is just about Aja Wilson. I bet Aja Wilson's blood is boiling. They don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work. Doesn't matter what we do. We're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it has my blood boiling. People are not saying it's...
This is what we're talking about. Because if this was any other WNBA player sitting courtside next to a Clark jersey, nobody would care. It would just be another moment of Caitlin Clark's massive reach. But it's Aja Wilson, and that changes everything. Because Aja has made it abundantly clear, through her words and actions, that she has feelings about not being the face of the league. And those feelings have been documented repeatedly throughout the 20...
I mean this when I say this. Okay, if Aja Wilson was chucking threes, if Aja Wilson was scoring 9 points in 38 seconds on all 30-footers, we would be this hyped. And she'd been doing it for years. And by the way, if Arike was able to replicate...
Here's the thing about Aja Wilson that even her biggest supporters will acknowledge. She's the best player in the WNBA. 2-time MVP, championship winner. Defensive Player of the Year, Olympic gold medalist. She has every accolade you could possibly want. But despite all of that hardware, despite being objectively the greatest player of this generation, she's not the face of the league. And she knows it. And it bothers her. The evidence isn't subtle. During the 2024 season, Aja made multiple comments that revealed her frustration. The most notable came after the Puma shoe controversy, when Clark fans criticized Aja's signature shoe design. Instead of ignoring it, Aja engaged. She defended her shoe, took shots at the criticism, and made it clear she was paying attention to the comparisons. That's not the behavior of someone who's secure in their position as the face of the league.
But yeah, it is what it is. Love that Caitlin jersey. Caitlin from anywhere. Jersey's nice. Fans wearing Caitlin Clark jersey sitting right next to Aja Wilson. Caitlin Clark is everywhere. Like, this was, yeah, it was yesterday or today. Jeez, I'm struggling for time. I'm struggling for time here. I just saw the Robin tweet and I'm like, I gotta make a video about this before I go to bed. It's 4 a.m. But it is absolutely hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious.
And here's what makes this courtside moment so perfect. It's not manufactured drama. Nobody planned this. Aja didn't know that person would be sitting there in a Clark jersey, but the internet immediately recognized the comedy gold. Social media exploded with comments. Aja can't escape CC mania. She's eyeballing that jersey from anywhere. I bet Aja's blood is boiling. Because this is the visual representation of Aja's entire problem. She can go to a completely different sport, in a completely different city, during the WNBA offseason, and she still can't escape Caitlin Clark's shadow. That's not an exaggeration. That's literally what happened.
She now has to watch a Heat game and sit there and with someone in a Caitlin jersey beside her, and you know it pissed her off. You absolutely just know that it's pissing her off, because she has made it very, very clear. I don't think she resents Caitlin Clark. I think she resents the fact that she's not the face of the league. That's just my opinion, this whole thing. I don't think she's got anything personally against Caitlin Clark, but I do think that
Now let's be fair about something. Aja Wilson is not wrong to feel frustrated. She's put in the work. She's dominated the league for years. She's been the best player on the best team. She's won everything there is to win. And by all traditional metrics, she should be the face of the WNBA. That's how sports usually work. The best player gets the recognition, but that's not how it works when someone like Caitlin Clark comes along. Because Clark didn't just enter the league as a good player. She entered as a cultural phenomenon. She brought millions of new fans. She broke television ratings records. She sold out arenas. She made the WNBA relevant to people who had never watched women's basketball before. And you can't compete with that kind of impact through basketball excellence alone.
Probably the GOAT, but nobody seems to care. And like, I'm gonna be real, the general public does not seem to give a damn that A'ja Wilson is the greatest of all time, which she probably is, if we're being completely honest. Like, she probably is the GOAT. But anyway, yeah, what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think that this means anything? Do you guys think that she even cares? And I mean, I'm gonna be real, this is A'ja Wilson. She definitely does.
Here's where the argument gets interesting. A'ja Wilson fans will say that if A'ja had Caitlin's playing style, the deep threes, the logo shots, the flashy passes, she would be just as popular, and they might have a point. Style matters in sport. Steph Curry changed basketball, not just by being good, but by doing things that looked impossible. Scoring 9 points in 38 seconds, all on 30-foot threes, is entertainment. It's viral content. It's highlight reel material that transcends the sport. But here's the counter-argument. A'ja Wilson has been doing her thing at an elite level for years. She's been dominating in the paint, playing elite defense, winning MVPs and championships. And the general public didn't care. The ratings didn't spike. The casual fans didn't show up. That's not A'ja's fault, but it's the reality. Basketball excellence alone doesn't create cultural phenomena.
I wish that, like, for people being like, oh, you know, A'ja Wilson, she doesn't care, she's already got this accolade. And I'm like, yeah, she already had all those accolades before Caitlin Clark came into the league and has gone out of her way at times to shit talk Caitlin Clark. So she's had all those accolades in the past and has still kind of gone out of her way to shit talk Caitlin. But yeah, it's just funny all around. It is just funny. It is absolutely hilarious. And I find it hilarious that there is a Caitlin Clark fan sitting beside it.
And then there's the A'ja Reese comparison that keeps coming up. A'ja Wilson fans love to point out that Angel Reese tried to replicate some of Clark's appeal. The trash talk, the villain persona, the social media presence, and despite getting significant media attention and starting in the All-Star game, Reese never came close to matching Clark's popularity. She had the platform, she had the opportunity, but she couldn't replicate the magic. That tells you something important. Being popular in the WNBA isn't just about personality, or marketing, or playing style. There's something about Caitlin Clark specifically that resonates with people. Maybe it's her college dominance. Maybe it's her underdog story. Maybe it's the way she plays with joy. Maybe it's all of those things combined. But whatever it is, it's not something you can manufacture or copy.
I still think this is absolutely brilliant. I think that it is legitimately one of the funnier off-season things we've seen. But look, does it mean anything? No, it's just a little bit funny. Just a little bit funny, and I think everyone could probably see the funny side to it. But yeah, it was be mad. Like, it's funny when we all talk about A'ja Wilson with this like kind of resentment towards Caitlin. It's like, if this was any other WNBA player other than that didn't say anything, no one would care. No one would be posting this, and people would just be hyping up the fact that it's a Caitlin jersey. But the fact it's A'ja, I mean, if she had just not responded to the shoe shit and not said anything, and no, nothing would have happened. And then, to be fair, plenty of times she said negative stuff about Caitlin. But yeah, it is what it is. I made enough videos talking about A'ja Wilson. It's like, you know, Caitlin's the problem, but you know, those South Carolina fans that worship A'ja Wilson, like, have some of the stuff they'll say about anyone. I think they're the crazier people. Obviously, A'ja Wilson's friend is nuts. Like, and then you've got people there. You got the South Carolina fans, like, you know, crying racism when because of one of the LSU players who hasn't played in like 3 years keeping on scholarship, when it turns out she's a heart condition and they didn't take her scholarship away. But they're attacking LSU for it. Oh, it's just mad. It's just mad. All of this non-basketball stuff is mad. This situation is just funny though. It is. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree with me? Because look, this is almost a pointless 4 a.m. video that I found kind of funny and wanted to talk about. So yeah.
So let's talk about what this courtside moment really represents. It's not just a funny coincidence. It's a perfect encapsulation of the WNBA's current reality. A'ja Wilson is the league's best player, but Caitlin Clark is the league's biggest star. And those are two different things. A'ja has every right to be frustrated by that. She's worked her entire career to be the best. She's achieved everything a basketball player can achieve. And yet when she goes to a Heat game during the offseason, the person next to her is wearing someone else's jersey. That's gotta sting. That's gotta feel unfair. Because by traditional basketball metrics, it is unfair. But sports aren't always fair. Popularity isn't distributed based on merit alone. Michael Jordan wasn't just the best player of his era. He was charismatic, marketable, and played in a way that captured people's imagination. LeBron James didn't just dominate basketball. He became a cultural icon who transcended the sport. Caitlin Clark is following that same pattern. She's not just good at basketball. She's become something bigger than basketball. And that's what A'ja Wilson is competing against. Not just Caitlin Clark's on-court performance, but her entire cultural phenomenon. The sold-out arenas, the record-breaking ratings, the mainstream media coverage, the fans who never watched women's basketball before suddenly buying WNBA League Pass just to watch one player. You can't beat that with basketball excellence alone, no matter how excellent you are. The social media reaction to this courtside moment proves the point. Nobody was talking about A'ja's accomplishments. Nobody was discussing her MVP awards or her championship. They were all focused on the Clark jersey. They were all making jokes about A'ja not being able to escape, because that's the reality of the situation. Caitlin Clark's presence looms over everything in the WNBA right now. Whether she's on the court or not. Does A'ja resent Caitlin Clark personally? Probably not. Most of her comments have been careful to avoid direct attacks on Clark herself, but does she resent the situation? Does she resent not being the face of the league, despite being the best player? Absolutely. She's made that clear through her actions and her words throughout the shoe controversy responses, the subtle comments about recognition, the defensive reactions to comparisons. It all adds up to someone who feels underappreciated despite their accomplishments. And honestly, you can understand why. Imagine being A'ja Wilson. You've done everything right. You've been the model of consistency and excellence. You've led your team to championships. You've won individual awards. You've represented your country in the Olympics. And then someone comes along in their rookie year and suddenly everyone's talking about them instead of you. That would be difficult for anyone to accept, no matter how mature or professional you are. But here's the hard truth that A'ja Wilson and her fans need to accept. The general public does not care about WNBA excellence the way basketball purists do. They never have, and they probably never will. The average sports fan doesn't watch enough WNBA basketball to appreciate A'ja's post moves, her defensive rotations, her basketball IQ. They watch highlights. They watch viral moments. They watch things that entertain them. And Caitlin Clark provides that entertainment in a way that A'ja Wilson's game doesn't. That's not a criticism of A'ja's game. She's incredible at what she does, but what she does doesn't translate to casual fan appeal the way Clark's game does. Deep threes are more exciting than post moves, to most people. That's just reality. Steph Curry revolutionized basketball and became a superstar not because he was the best player in the league, but because his style was exciting and accessible. Clark is following the same path. So what does this courtside moment mean for the future? It means this dynamic is going to continue. A'ja Wilson will keep being the best player in the WNBA. She'll keep winning awards and championships. She'll keep dominating on the court. But Caitlin Clark will keep being the face of the league. She'll keep drawing the biggest crowds, getting the most media attention, driving the ratings, and selling the jerseys. Even when she's not playing, even when it's the off-season, her presence will be felt. And Aja is going to have to find a way to make peace with that, because fighting it only makes it worse. Every time she engages with the comparisons, every time she responds to the criticism, every time she shows that frustration, it reinforces the narrative that she's bothered by not being the face of the league. And that narrative undermines her actual accomplishments. The irony is that Aja Wilson is probably the greatest WNBA player of all time. When we look back in 20 years, she'll be in the conversation for GOAT status. Her resume will speak for itself. But in the moment, right now, she's living in someone else's shadow. And that courtside moment with the Caitlin Clark jersey sitting right next to her is the perfect visual representation of that reality. So was this moment significant? Not really. It's just a funny coincidence that social media turned into a meme. But is it symbolic? Absolutely. It represents everything about the current state of the WNBA. The tension between excellence and popularity. The frustration of being the best but not being the most recognized. The reality that sometimes sports aren't fair, and the most accomplished player isn't always the most celebrated. And for Aja Wilson, that's a lesson she's still learning to accept. Because no matter where she goes, no matter what she accomplishes, she's going to keep running into Caitlin Clark jerseys. At Heat games, at restaurants, at airports, everywhere. Because that's what happens when someone becomes the face of a league. Their presence is everywhere, even when they're not physically there. The question is whether Aja can learn to be okay with that. Can she accept being the best player without being the biggest star? Can she find satisfaction in her accomplishments without needing the recognition that comes with being the face of the league? Because if she can't, she's going to spend her entire career frustrated. And that would be a shame, because her career deserves to be celebrated, not overshadowed by resentment about someone else's popularity. So, here's my question for you. Is Aja Wilson justified in her frustration, or does she need to accept that basketball excellence and popularity are two different things? Should the best player automatically be the face of the league, or does it depend on more than just on-court performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep this conversation going. Because this dynamic between Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark is going to define the WNBA for the next decade. And we're just getting started.